All right, so we're going to talk about the fighting style options. And these are really good additional class features for fighters, but given that there's a feat now that allows you to pick up fighting styles from different classes, mainly the fighter, these are really good to add to any class at now.
Oh, absolutely. So the first one is blind fighting. You have blind sight out to 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
You effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you are blinded or in darkness.
And that's important for targeting.
Yep.
So being able to actively see, because anything you deal with for targeting has to see what you're doing, or you can't make it happen. So like the darkness spell, this is great for the darkness spell because now you can see them. You'll know where they are at. Or even spells that target closely, you can see them. They're, even if you're somehow messed up and something doesn't work, or they're invisible, you can see them.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can see an invisible creature that's within this range unless that creature successfully hides from you.
Yeah, so they'll basically have to take their turn to make it where you can't find them.
Yeah, but I mean, I could easily see a spellcaster picking this option just because if darkness happens, if they get blinded for some reason, if somebody goes invisible, you can still target that creature, and that is that's key right there. That is a clutch thing, because how many times if someone goes invisible, well, now the majority of your spells you can't use because you can't see them to target them.
Especially in high level play where you start having improved invisibility happen on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, that greater invisibility is, I mean, it is strong.
Yeah, and for like maybe a monk character to be able to go, well, I still know where you're at and I'm still going to stunning strike you. Or stunning fist you and then lock you down. Like, I don't care that you're invisible, I still got you.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big deal. And this isn't to be overlooked and think that it's not as good. I think it's one of the more powerful fighting options you can pick up.
Yeah, also, invisible creatures, or due to the darkness spell, people that try to leave your threat range, you can still get your opportunity attack on.
That's right. Yeah. That's another big deal. This shuts off a lot of those strategies that people use for sight, and this will negate that and make you a much stronger character than you would be before, because now those old tricks of, you can't see me, just don't work. I mean, it's only within 10 feet, but if you're playing a character in this particular fashion, you're most likely going to be within 10 feet all the time, or attempt to be.
Yeah.
And I would even assume that it would work on other things as well, like objects, like maybe you'll see invisible walls, or you'll know that other invisible things or hidden. You might even be able to see or track and find hidden objects, depending on what they are. Obviously, if they're not moving or doing whatever, you might not find it. But because you might have a better way of finding things. Because I could give somebody a perception check on finding hidden things, depending on how their blind sight particularly works.
Because it specifically says you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, not a creature, but anything.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I could also see somebody kind of flavoring this as like they're using like echolocation. So like before every attack, they kind of
the clicking.
Yeah. Because there are people in real life that do that, and like I've seen a guy that skates down a California boardwalk doing it.
Yeah.
And he's blind. Like,
I mean that is definitely something that could work. I mean, it would also give you the ability to play a blind character and still function in the game.
Yeah.
If you wish to do that to yourself. It's still going to be pretty rough. But let's talk about the next one, Interception.
Yeah, and this is, basically, the name describes it all. So,
very simple.
You have to have a simple or martial weapon or shield.
Yep.
And if somebody hits a creature that isn't you can't use this on yourself. You basically use your weapon or shield and you intercept that hit, or you're blocking it, and you're not always blocking it, but you're reducing the damage. So sometimes you will block it, sometimes you'll just make it to where they got hit not as hard.
Yeah.
So what it does is a creature within 5 feet of you, use your reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus.
So knock off a little bit here and there, but it's a reaction every turn. So it definitely de-incentivizes a monster or an opponent from attacking your friend. So maybe you have a rogue buddy that works with you, and you just keep him protected constantly. If something tries to attack him or tries to do damage to him, you keep saving him.
Yeah, but I mean, I could also see someone picking this option just to give them a reason to use their reaction. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, there's a barbarian who's raging, and it's like, oh, we're not going to hit him because he's taking half damage from everything we're doing. We're going to attack his friends instead. Sorry, I'm going to reduce some of that damage.
Yeah. An important thing, it says also when a creature you can see hits a target, so you can't use this thing on like area effect spells or something that does extra hits multiple people. That is important. So it really has to be a single target that you can get in the line of and say, nope, I'm going to stop that. Because I was looking at that going, well, maybe you can stop that for you can put your shield up and block your friend from taking too much from a fireball or something. But it doesn't actually do that. It says you can see hits a target other than you.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it? When they hit a target other than you, I mean, I could see someone thunder waves you because you put your shield up, you reduce their damage, it doesn't reduce yours.
Don't have a target. They have a point in which they do damage, but they don't have a target.
Well, yeah, that's a big rules as written thing.
Yeah, that's a rules.
Because in reality, you could see somebody doing it to stop some of that damage. But
I think there's another ability somewhere that actually does that.
Oh, okay.
Actually puts something in the way. So this is not necessarily doing that. That's more like knocking somebody's sword away from when you're about to stab your friend, or putting the shield up to block the arrow that's coming closer.
Gotcha. Yeah. In a movie, that person that does that attack and that person comes in and blocks it just a little bit.
Yeah.
And the person just has that little cut on their arm or whatever.
That's the true intention behind it.
Right. But the next one is Superior Technique. And this basically, you gain one maneuver from the Battlemaster archetype. And it's just like the Battlemaster. You get the DC, whatever the maneuver is. And in Tasha's, they give you 7 more maneuvers. Now, the one thing to note on this is, though, that the superiority die you get with this is a D6. And it is only ever going to be a D6 until if you are playing a Battlemaster, you reach 10th level where all your superiority dice change to D10s.
Right. And then 15th level D12s. So that's the weird thing about this feat, is it's just giving you an extra maneuver that is only ever a D6, which actually is still really good. It's just, if you're playing a Battlemaster, it'll be a little awkward. But yet again, this is an option that, with the feat, anybody can now pick up a battle maneuver.
Yep.
And there are a lot of really good maneuvers.
Oh yeah, and you gain it back on a short rest. So if you have an encounter, you use it, short rest, you're going to get this superiority die back, being able to use whatever technique or maneuver you picked up.
Trips, parries, shoves, commands,
all the good stuff.
I mean, this is a really strong technique that definitely will add to any fighting class, any subclass. Like, just having this one technique of going, well, I always have a trip ready. I mean, that is pretty strong.
I mean, I could
especially for a 1-level dip, if you're multi-classing as a fighter. Somebody just takes 1-level fighter and picks up this fighting style to, well, I'm going to play a rogue that will constantly do trip you and then get advantage themselves.
Yeah,
whether sneak attack.
Or I could see a monk taking a 1-level dip, taking this and like you're like a judo thrower. So you actively try to throw people on the ground and then jack them up Ip Man style. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Or I mean, if you just pick up the feet, you can get on later without even picking up the 1-level dip. I mean, there's a lot of really good.
Yeah, there's hundreds of combinations that you can use with this.
Yeah, so that's why this is a very great option.
Let's go to the next one. That's going to be Thrown Weapon Fighting.
All right, so you can draw a weapon with a thrown property as part of your attack. So you can now just take knives out and just start tossing. Start daggers, just throwing.
Daggers, hand axes, javelins.
throwing hammers.
Yeah.
Even, I think, vials, like grenades and stuff. If you get in there, make them, you can start chunking them as part of the action.
Oh, man, I didn't even think about that. Just throwing vials of acid at people or arcane fire.
Yeah.
Or alchemist fire.
Alchemist fire. You can now just, part of the action, toss it. So you don't have to take the time to pull it out. So now you become a grenadier or a knife thrower. This is definitely a fighting option that a lot of people have been looking for since the beginning, because honestly, throwing daggers is not that great in 5th edition, but now it's actually not that bad.
No.
Especially with the additional, when you hit with a range attack with throwing weapon, you get a +2 to damage. So you're very, not accurate. You hit the right point, and it does more damage, or you throw harder. So that works for anything with the throw ability. Just extra 2 damage when you throw something.
Yeah, and this also adds to the Eldritch Knight. If you're making an Eldritch Knight, well, now you have the ability to make a bond with that weapon that you can call to you with a bonus action. So you could have a dagger, a javelin, or that hand axe. Throw it, bonus action, bring it back, throw it again.
You can pull out a real scorpion thing. Tie a chain to a javelin, throw the javelin at somebody. So get over here and yank back, and maybe if it's got a barb on there, you might be able to yank the person back with it and pull them in. And then that's probably getting a little bit too far into the rules, but it's definitely something fun you can do.
Absolutely.
So that's something you're going to want to mess with. There's more to that.
Yeah, anyone who's wanted to make a character that throws weapons. That rogue that throws daggers, that dwarven axe thrower. Yeah. The goblin dagger thrower, sneaky. I mean, here's your opportunity.
Or Thor.
Yeah.
you end up getting the Thor's hammer. You can start just chunking it. And there's a lot of fun things you can do.
Yeah.
The next one is one that I'm really glad they finally added.
But it's also a very controversial one.
Yeah. Unarmed Fighting. So your unarmed strikes deal bludgeoning damage and equal to d6 plus your strength modifier on a hit. And if you aren't wielding weapons, it turns into a d8.
Or a shield. So if you are completely unarmed.
So you have haymakers. Your arms turn into long swords effectively that are bludgeoning. So
versatile long swords.
Yeah.
No, it's regular because the versatile is d10.
D10. Well, they would be versatile quarterstaffs at that point. But that's really cool because now you can actually make something that's not a monk and make an effective unarmed fighter.
Yeah, you can make a fighter that is, really that brawler, that bare knuckle freaking bare knuckle boxer, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, or just any kind of martial artist, Jackie Chan, Jet Li,
jiu-jitsu practitioners, Horace Gracie. Because here's the next thing: at the start of each of your turns, you can deal a D4 bludgeoning damage to one creature you're grappling. So finally, they give us something that pays off to grab a creature. Like, when you grapple something, they have a speed of 0. But now, when I grapple you, you have a speed of 0, and I'm hurting you every turn. So now there's more feats you can add. The improved grappler, so you hit somebody, grab them, and now while you have them by the shirt, you're actually hurting them and then punching them in the face, hurting them some more.
And this fighting style particularly would benefit a class that doesn't get very used much in the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide, which is the Battle Rager, because they do extra damage to people that they're grappled.
Yeah, so really good reason to play a Battle Rager, which has been one of the ones I was like, I wish this was better. Well, now this is going to be better.
Yeah.
This will actually fit them a lot more. You can play that Quint Thimbledorf.
Yeah. Now, the reason it's controversial is because a lot of people who like the monk class says that it's like, okay, well, these guys starting at a first level fighter gets D6s for bludgeoning damage, or D8s if they're not wielding anything, and a monk doesn't get that until around 12th level. Yeah,
it's really up there. But really, the rebuttal to that is that monks start off with 2 attacks at first level.
Yeah, and
they basically have 2 attacks. It's a bonus action; they get to swing again.
Yeah, and as soon as they get flurry of blows, they can use their key points and they get 3 attacks.
Yeah. And then at 5th level, they have 4 attacks. So really, they're coming out better because a fighter is only going to do a D8 with 1 hit and a D8 with another hit, where a monk is going to do, at 5th level, actually it's now D6.
If you're adding those dex modifiers on top of it.
Each hit gets that dex modifier, where now it's like, well, I'm only going to get 1. I'm only going to get 1 because you can't 2-weapon fight this either.
Yeah, so a 5th level fighter would essentially get 2.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I guess you could 2-weapon fighting and get a bonus action with something offhand, but...
then it goes down to a D6?
Yeah, it goes down to D6. So, really, the monk is still right there on par with them. It's just giving other classes the ability to be unarmed. And you can really play that boxer. You could be that Mike Tyson swinging,
yeah, and I mean, not to mention, some people just like unarmed combat, and they don't like having to have weapons.
Yeah, like I don't want to have to worry about carrying around a greatsword. I don't want to have to worry about carrying around my short swords or what somebody could steal it from. Or I want to be able to walk into any situation and be ready for a fight. I don't want people knowing that I am a weapon, and that's the cool thing about unarmed fighting is you are the weapon at all times.
Yes. And I mean, I love this. I think it's fantastic. I mean, and monks are typically your martial artists, so there's kind of a finesse with the martial arts about it. This is just your straight up brawler.
Yeah, just in your face. I'm going to hit you with my raw power. And honestly, a monk could also play this too if you want to be a strength monk. And it'd be okay with it as well. But yeah, this is about your raw power of how much damage you can do with just your fist. I'm going to swing at you. I'm not aiming for any pressure points. I'm swinging to knock you out. No finesse, nothing. Just haymakers. Bow, bow. That is great.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think this is one of the better fighting styles that they've given, and it really allows players to be more versatile and also just play more with their characters and how they're wanting to make them.
It opens up a whole new avenue of character options. Just this one fighting style opens up just a large amount of things you can do. Just because it says, my fists are weapons and I don't have to be a monk.
Right.
And I get to use strength for it as well. So that's another thing. It's a little bit better. So it's a really great feat. A really great fighting option on feet.
Yeah, and that's what we think about the new fighting styles.